Hi. Okay, my topic focuses on absentee voting in Texas during COVID-19 and connecting it to what we learned in the elections model honestly helped me understand the situation a lot better. In the article I reviewed, I learned that Texas has very strict absentee voting rules and that these rules stayed the same even when people were worried about being in public during the pandemic. The study showed that voters who felt unsafe were much more supportive of expanding the absentee voting, but the state still limited who qualified. That connected with what we learned in class about how each state controls its own voting process, decides who is eligible, and sets the rules that everyone must follow. It made me realize that voting isn't just a simple right, it also depends on how the state chooses to run things. In class, we also learned about the long history of voters' restrictions in Texas. We talked about things like Jim Crow laws, white primaries, property requirements, and limits on ballot access that kept many people, especially minorities, from voting for a long time. Even though those exact barriers are no longer in place, Texas still has modern rules that can make voting harder for certain groups, including people with disabilities or people who don't have a lot of flexibility in their schedules. When when I compared that history to what was happening during COVID-19, it felt like another example of how voting access changes slowly and usually only after a lot of conflict or pressure. The elections module also helped me understand how Texas elections work in general, like primaries. I'm sorry, like primaries, turnout issues, and how strict rules can impact participation. Texas already has low turnout, and keeping absentee voting limited definitely doesn't help. The article talked about things like reduced ballot drop off locations and legal discussions over voting procedures, which match what we learn about how political identity and legal decisions influence elections, especially during major events like the pandemic. This topic feels important to me personally because voting affects my goals, my future career, and the people around me. Since I want to work in healthcare, I saw firsthand how public health and politics mix, especially during COVID 19. In my community, a lot of people work long shifts or don't live close to polling places, locations, so having limited options like strict absentee rules makes voting harder for them. Learning all of this made me more aware of of why it's important to pay attention to election laws and how they change. It also motivated me to participate more because the decisions the state makes about voting rules really do affect whose voices get heard. So yes, these this was my essay for the final discussion, and thank you so much. Bye bye.